Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, it appears that we are back at it again with another video. We are back at it again with another breakdown regarding the ongoing feud, the ongoing battle, the ongoing copyright battle between me and MrPokke. And it just so turns out that one of the biggest legal minds in the space, one of the biggest legal YouTubers in the space, Legal Mindset, has decided to chime in and give his neutral outlook, his neutral take on the matter. But I guess this is the reality. No matter how neutral somebody claims that they're going to be, there's always going to be a party involved that believes that they're under attack if the situation doesn't look favorable to them. And that seems to be the approach that MrPokke is taking over here. This video was released about 16 hours ago. About 16 hours ago. And it turns out that MrPokke has put out a video within 12 hours of that one's release to, of course, start contesting some of the points that are going to be made throughout. And so what I wanted to do was, of course, react to Legal Mindset's video, but then also do a bit of this. See the points that Pokke is making, the rebuttals that Pokke is making for what Legal Mindset is saying, and of course, see if there's anything a little wonky or a little bit stinky behind MrPokke's defense. So without further ado, that's going to be the context. That's going to be why we're having two videos on the screen at once. Let's go ahead and get right on into this.
The Gotcha Wars. We have a copyright battle on YouTube between two creators, MrPokke and Saint Tonas. We're going to get into that today, breaking down this copyright battle and what's going on there.
Why did he put up that video? Why did he put up this one? This is not even a video about MrPokke, brother. Is he just advertising? I feel like he watched this and he liked it. That's why he's putting it up here.
Breaking down this copyright battle and what's going on there. Of course, on the Legal Mindset, we teach you to be your own judge. I'm Andrew Esquire, American attorney, and this is a fast facts video. And in this case, this is a case involving two different creators. Now, I'll introduce you to the first one. The plaintiff in this case is MrPokke.
He did not choose a very flattering photo of him. I will give him that. He did not choose the most flattering photo ever.
A Singaporean gotcha content creator. So he is the plaintiff in this case because he's the one that actually struck the video. So he's the one that placed these strikes. So I'm going to put him in the plaintiff seat for today in the overall framing.
I think that's a fair take to go with, putting him in the plaintiff and putting me as the defendant, because I'm the one who got my video struck. I'm the one who has to, you know, initiate the sort of like legal process by filing a counter notice in my defense, so on and so forth.
And then the defendant is Saint Tonas. I'm going to call him Saint because I'm lazy, but he is...
That's fair.
The one whose video was indeed struck. So we've got MrPokke versus Saint in this gotcha war. So MrPokke and Saint Tonas are YouTube creators in the gotcha space. And of course, if you're in any space, particularly where you're talking about different games and you have a lot of different opinions, you're going to have disagreements. In fact, passionate disagreements over the new game. And specifically, this boils down to criticism over the new game, Arknight's Enfield, which just came out in January of this year.
So for some context, just to like liven up this story a little bit, MrPokke is on the record, right, through multiple tweets, through multiple videos, really focusing a lot on how amazing this game's gotcha system, this game's monetization system, and of course this game's 1.0 experience has been. There's a lot of tweets out there. I don't really feel the need to even like pull them up. You can just check my videos like with the title like Hyper Grifter in them, and you'll get the full context for what my opinion is on MrPokke's takes. And the reality of it is very simple. Pokke is a creator that oftentimes has demonstrably proven himself to be something that you can call a shill. And what a shill does is they are dishonest about certain elements of a game, present them as maybe more generous or more free-to-play friendly than they actually are, in order to be in the good graces of the company and then obtain some form of partnership, some form of sponsorship, some form of like financial support, so that they can keep being dishonest, right, about the game, and of course, through that, potentially misleading their audience. Bootlicking, Corpa, pro Corpa, greedy and stupid. If you think HSR's power creep is a problem, right, it's because you're stupid and greedy. We all remember that tweet, right? It tracks, it makes sense. It didn't come as a surprise to anybody that Pokke had such takes.
And of course, there's some pro, there's some anti here. And that's how this played out is, hey, one of them likes the game, one of them doesn't like the game. You know, the other one says, hey, you're a supporter of the game Wuthering Waves, so therefore you're not going to be a supporter of this new game.
And that is literally
Wuthering Waves.
Why is he fucking calling it Wuthering Waves? Bro, I feel like this guy is doing this shit on purpose. He saw the Game Awards and he sees how Jeff Keighley starts pronouncing that shit. Nah, he's doing it on purpose. I don't think this guy, he knows. This guy is goofy, bro.
So there's an internal conflict here when it comes to that. And MrPokke used that conflict and a bunch of quote unquote logical fallacies to mock Saintontas in his video, The Art of the Gacha War.
And this is the thing. MrPokke has already refuted these claims. We'll take a look at the refutations later.
To which Saintontas responded with his own video, The Tragic Downfall of MrPokke, reviewing that video and rebutting that and kind of going through these things he calls logical fallacies and kind of making fun of him and also breaking those down in more of an analysis. And that video, The Tragic Downfall of MrPokke, was indeed the one that MrPokke ended up striking on YouTube after its release.
That's the lead-in, right? And this lead-in from Legal Mindset makes a ton of sense when you look at the video, the original video, right, by MrPokke, The Art of Gacha War, and the strike that I received on the critique commentary video, The Tragic Downfall of MrPokke. When you take this kind of like perspective of this video leading to this one getting struck, this narrative makes sense, right? Because that entire relationship between the two, it's because of Arknight's Enfield. It's because of debating over the gacha system. It's because of all of those things. So now that we got that kind of like settled, right? It makes sense. The context that Legal Mindset is providing makes a ton of sense. Why don't we look at the first actual rebuttal that comes from Pokke over here? Because this is exactly, right? Opening statements, right? This is what MrPokke decided he wanted to address. For simply brevity's sake, MrPokke takes a long time to get through these points, like a lot of yapping. I don't really feel it's necessary to actually listen to him, so we're going to focus on the bulleted lines. Intense disagreements over Arknight's Enfield, right? MrPokke is clearly addressing this first point over here. This is false. It is not about Arknight's Enfield, but that's what the Art of Gacha War is about. It's about Arknight's Enfield and why the gacha system is actually like great, free to play friendly, all of that stuff, and how it's being illegitimately attacked by creators of other games, right? That's what it's about. But MrPokke is instead saying it's the systematic defamation and attack on myself and my branding by Saint for 25 videos over the course of 1 year. MrPokke, is that mentioned in the Art of Gacha War? And this is the thing. I can just tell you the answer right now. No, it's not. No, none of that context, none of these things is mentioned in the Art of Gacha War. And so, does this really have anything to do with the strike? Not particularly. But there is something that I can show you is related to the strike. The date that MrPokke actually filed the strike. What you're seeing over here is a PowerPoint that I've created before, the Pokke PowerPoint. What happened? On February 8th, 2026, I reacted on stream to a document exposing MrPokke's editor abuse, the Pokke files, the Pokke Google Docs, right? We can all see it over here. That 4-hour, 51-minute stream on February 8th, 2026. He then filed a copyright strike for The Tragic Downfall of MrPokke the same day. February 8th, 2026. This original video, guys, it was published on January 19th. And so for some reason, right, MrPokke will continually say that the reason why he filed a strike on a video like 20-something days, 21 days after it released was because of like market conditions, all of that, competing product. Why would you file it 21 days late if that was the reasoning, right? If it was like the real one? Why would you file it 21 days late if it was about the 25 other videos? Why is it 21 days late, and why is it right after I decide to cover your allegations of editor abuse? These are the facts that MrPokke doesn't want to show. This is the reality that MrPokke doesn't want to show, because when you see the timeline here and you listen to Pokke's reasoning for why he even struck this video in the first place, guys, it does look retaliatory. It looks very retaliatory in response to my decision to cover his editor abuse allegations. I think we can all agree on that. I think we can all agree that this is something that makes a lot of sense. That's just some additional context over there. So this one doesn't really seem to make much sense, and some could say that this looks dishonest or is potentially a lie that he's using to cover for himself, right? The narrative has shifted for Pokke a lot over the past couple of days, and I think this is one of the most recent shifts that's come out of, well, all of the days following the counter notice. Now we got mocking Saint, right? And we all saw this point. Mr. Pokke mocks Saint in the Art of Gotcha War, to which Saint responded with the tragic downfall of Mr. Pokke. Mocking Saint. This is false. Never did I mention Saint a single time in Art of Gotcha War. He was thinking I am framing the content only about him. I don't know why Mr. Pokke would put this in the video when the Art of Gotcha War is still up and you can still watch it and you can still see all the timestamps where he mentions me. This is just, I believe, like a crazy thing to even put in the PowerPoint. And like, it should have been edited or something. Like, I just don't even know how you do this, because you could just go to the Art of Gotcha War and this is within the first 2 minutes and 22 fucking seconds. Like, what are you, like, how did we even say this? How do we even put this in the PowerPoint? How do we even do that? Because this is the thing, right? Obviously, he mentions me, but that's at 222. What if we go to 125, brother? Check this shit out. So, there's another one at 125 where you clearly see me and 2 of my videos. And then you go to 749, right? It's me and another one of my videos. And so, Pokke, remember, this is fallacy number 1, the ad hominem. And so you are using... I mean, let's just read this here. He was thinking I am only framing the content only about him. What is this then? I don't think anyone knows what this is supposed to be then when you're literally putting my videos up as an example. Let's hear out this part. 219, real fast.
Picture this scenario. You have been playing your gotcha game.
Picture this scenario, and then I'm on the screen. That in the first couple of minutes of the video, doesn't that just clearly mean the video is about me? The scenario is about me because I'm the one on the screen. As you can see, this one is just... And now let's listen to this third point down here. Copyright strike against Saint's response video. The copyright strike is not to silence Saint. Then why'd you file it right after I covered your editor abuse allegations? And if it was, Mr. Pokke, entirely because of directly damaging your product by reacting almost 100% and uploading within 12, why was it filed 21 days after the upload date? Why wasn't it filed earlier, and why is it only filed right after I streamed this? Right? It's like that. These are the factual statements, right? These are the facts behind the dates of the filings, when they occurred, and other events that occurred alongside those filings. Guys, this is the thing. I'm not telling you how to think in this circumstance. I'm merely providing you the evidence, the proof, the glue, and, well, I'm gonna be honest, I think it's fair to say that this stuff maybe feels a little bit, it feels a little bit unbelievable given all of these other coincidences that seem to be happening on the side. I'm just saying that. Now let's move on. As you can see, this is gonna be a little bit back and forth, but hopefully you can understand why. Because we're looking at Mr. Pokke's kind of like defense of himself here.
Over here, we can see the evidence of the copyright strike right here, which says we received a copyright removal request for your video based on applicable copyright law. We removed your video. Your channel received a strike. If you get 3 copyright strikes, your channel, along with associated channels, will be removed, subject to removal. So
I know some people are worried about the second strike I received. I have basically found concrete, solid proof that it is completely fraudulent. And I shouldn't need to submit anything. I shouldn't need to pay any legal fees. It should just be immediately reversed after the new information that I've been privy to. So don't worry too much about that one. Yeah, Joaquin might be fucked.
This is very important to note. Obviously, if you are a person who is covering someone religiously and they are able to get 3 strikes on you, that's a way they can get you and get your channel removed.
And that's where the silencing comes in, right? And this is where we'll also directly look at the take over here from MrPokke, that the copyright strike against Saint's response video is not to silence him.
Well. Yep. Send on this. I know. Right? I know.
Basically, I don't feel the need to play this shit again because he sounds hella annoying in it. All bro talks about in here is about how he knows that I'm gonna have to react to the videos that he's pushing out. That I have to. And that he's gonna teach me a lesson of copyright infringement after I react to those videos. Then we have MrPokke basically admitting here on later in the stream.
How did I plan this out for so long?
How did I plan this out for so long?
It worked out 99%.
Worked out 99%.
99% when my Keikaku. It's
Yeah,
just
his
that
Keikaku was
one
planned.
bit I didn't account for is
The one bit he didn't account for.
The strike actually went just so.
The strike went through too quickly, and he expected it to be delayed so he could stack up more of them, right? And so literally the tactic that you saw over here, Legal Mindset talking about, right? Remember, Pokke's saying it's not to silence me, but then he has this clip over here where he's talking about how it was all according to his Keikaku and the strike came too soon. Well, MrPokke, again, if this was the reason for why, then why does it matter when... Don't you want the strike to come as soon as possible? Don't you want the strike to land as soon as possible if this was... I'm just saying, if this was the true intent, right? To take my video down because of like the damaging the product, why wouldn't you want the strike to go through as fast as possible? Because then the sooner my video supposedly gets taken down, right, the sooner that this worry of yours would be amended. Because you claim market substitute, right? So why are you upset that it happened too soon? Play this one instead.
well. Yep. Send on this. I know, right? I know it would be impossible for you to not react to this content. It will be a content so irresistible, you have to react. You just have to.
Bro, why was he like... Why does it sound like he's kissing somebody?
Well.
That's weird, bro. These bullet points look a little strange, don't they? Yeah, I think that's fair to say.
And some people can call that perhaps baiting. I guess if you're locked into a battle with somebody, this is something that can indeed happen. And over here, you see the remedies. Do nothing. Strike expires after 90 days. Request retraction or submit a counter notification. Deleting the video will not remove the strike. So those are your 3 options. So what happened? MrPokke demands Santoda Saint.
I like how he said, I'm just going to call him Saint, and then he tries anyways and fucks it up 3 times. That was impressive.
Give a public apology, delete all videos mentioning him, and never speak about him again.
And this is the thing. This is the exact tweet that we're talking about over here. You might be wondering, oh, damn, why is MrPokke looking at this tweet? Let's just take a look at this, right? As expected, looks like I will not be getting a public apology tonight. To give Saint the benefit of the doubt every single day, blah, blah, blah. Public apology, removing all videos about me, never mention me again, right? That is literally what MrPokke wrote in his tweet, and it's also in this video as well. And don't worry, we got a fun little clip after we look at MrPokke's rebuttal. Let's keep listening here.
I'm just going to say for demands, those specific demands, okay, maybe an apology, I understand. But if you're in a space where there's disagreement, where there's fighting, where there's back and forth, where you're going to get into this, this is better, this is not. And understand with these gacha games, they can have indeed very complex systems. And there's a lot of argument about value, about the value of pulls, about what system is best. Is it a complex system with a lot of characters or whatever else? You could argue about the art. You could argue about the models.
There's a lot of conversations to have regarding gacha games, right? And there's a reason why the idea of going like super copyright strikey happy isn't something that happens a lot in the gacha space because, well, I just don't think like stuff like this has necessarily even happened before.
There's a lot to argue about in the gotcha space, and that
because there's so many things to argue about, so many different opinions to have, and of course, I think a lot of viewers enjoy seeing how certain opinions are either like contested and or simply like talked about. Like it's just, that's kind of like a part of the ecosystem over here.
kind of makes it ripe for conflict. So I think
Because there's a lot of money involved in playing these games and time.
saying, hey, look, you're never going to make a video about somebody else in the space, kind of an unreasonable demand. However, Santona's responds with a counter notice and said he hired H3's lawyer, a
Yeah.
very, very accomplished and successful copyright lawyer in
Yeah.
the United States. And MrPokke does go back and say he's committed to a lawsuit. We're going to look at those tweets. And allegedly, according to my information that I received, he hired a Singaporean lawyer. So we'll get into that being a little bit of a mistake.
So this is where stuff's going to get a little bit spicy because Pokke was really not very happy about that part of the demands over here, right? And all you're going to need to see is, well, this. I don't think that there's anything too crazy over here. This is just a confirmation from Pokke about all the details. Pokke's ultimatum, blah, 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 all of that. It looks like he's just restating it. I don't know why he decided to just rewrite everything that was here. Like, this is just rewriting this. This is just rewriting this. This is just rewriting this. Or I guess this is the correction. He's publicly committed to a real lawsuit claim no mercy. And that a Singaporean lawyer was hired. Let's keep looking at this over here. So, my demands. Oh, sorry, I'm going to have to move my screen over to the side because Pokke decided to, I don't know, completely fuck up the formatting of his PowerPoint for some fucking reason. My demands have nothing to do with the copyright strike. It is to protect my product as a content creator from someone maliciously reacting to my content. So, he says his demands have nothing to do with the copyright strike, but then said the copyright strike was based off of the exact things his demands are about. So, this is probably where you get really confused about what the fuck is actually going on. Like, really confused about it, because this is apparently the source of the disagreements. But then he's saying over here the strike has nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with these demands, which are... Do you guys kind of see what I'm saying? Like, it's a little bit confusing over here what the fuck is even going on, because it seems like it's coming from a bunch of different directions. Maybe nobody double-checked this in Sarah. I don't know, right? So, my demands have nothing to do with the copyright strike. It is to protect my product as a content creator from someone maliciously reacting to my content. But is it the copyright strike because you said you struck the video to protect your content? So you say over here in this slide, it's to protect your video or to protect your content, but now you're saying the strike has nothing to do with protecting your content. Which one is it? Because I'm not sure I can even follow because this PowerPoint is fucking crazy. And this is the other thing. This PowerPoint is completely inaccurate because we have MrPokke publicly saying over here, just listen. There's a reason why I pulled this up, boys. Fulfill these 3 conditions and we can talk about me removing my copyright strike if you want to. The 3 demands that we just talked about are on the screen, and he just said, my demands have nothing to do with the copyright strike, but then his video literally says, fulfill these 3 conditions and we can talk about me removing my Why don't we just hear it from him?
Fulfill these 3 conditions, and we can talk about me removing my copyright strike.
My demands have nothing to do with the copyright. What? How did you say in the PowerPoint that my demands have nothing to do with the copyright strike? Do you kind of see why I'm just why I'm confused by what's in this PowerPoint? Because it literally is like trying to rewrite history. Because I'm playing your own videos. These are your videos on your channel, and I'm playing them, and this is what it's saying. So, like, I don't know which was the right story. Is it the video on your channel, or is it the PowerPoint that the new... And then read this last line down here. I need to hide the progress bar. My demand on X is not a blackmail or threat, and he can feel free to ignore it completely, which still has nothing to do with the strike. What? What the fuck is this video, then?
Fulfill these 3 conditions, and we can talk about me removing my copyright strike.
How'd you put in the PowerPoint then? That has nothing to do with the strike. And also, my demand on X is not a blackmail or threat. Every single day I do not get these 3 demands, I'm gonna drop a file. Who's gonna believe that's not a threat? Who would believe that's not a threat? What? How you say that's not a threat? Brother, what?
Over here, you can see MrPokke's posts that say at every point of the road, you had the option to take the better path for yourself and everyone around you. Now you believe hiring a lawyer to draft a counter notification, not a lawsuit, will give you legal grounds to steal my content. I am prepared to give you an actual lawsuit. Sleep well. Well, this is very interesting because it seems to me reading this tweet that he just doesn't understand how the system works.
So now we've had a lawyer weigh in and just say, yeah, this guy seems like he has no fucking clue what he's saying.
And an actual lawsuit, well, what are you going to do? Like, are you trying to sue under Singaporean law, it sounds like? Because...
And this is where the goofy part with the Singaporean law and all of that is going to come into play. And it's very funny.
There's a big problem with that, and we're going to go into that. The next comment here is the aim for peaceful resolution or de-escalation has clearly been tossed out, as seen from his recent streams or videos. Saint, please do not treat my one act of kindness to you as a sign of weakness or bowing down for your forgiveness. Stating the peaceful resolution is me leaving the space.
MrPokke kind of reminds me of like those guys that thought they were really cool in like middle school. Like, he really gives me, like, those edgy, like, Dark Demon Slayer 69XX, like, vibes. Like, damn, like, he was... like, that's just what I get, bro. Like, I feel like this guy played MapleStory, and when he did, he mained an assassin. Yeah, he played MapleStory, and, like, he 100%, like, mained an assassin. I can guarantee it.
In my act of absolute good faith and kindness, feeling sorry for what happened to you, you decided to weaponize it and paint me as a gotcha terrorist. When the time comes, I will quote you on your own words, no mercy. And a little bit of the context of this, there was a raid on some Discord servers with some illicit material that was posted. Now, that has nothing to do with the legal scenario, but some of that.
Absolutely not. But it's pretty clear that MrPokke reached out during that, asking for a call for a quote-unquote peaceful resolution, right? I kind of viewed it as, yeah, this guy is really trying to have this talk with me after this severe incident occurred, and I was just like, yeah, why don't we just chill on this one for now? Yeah, why don't we just chill on this one for now, but until I get a couple of days to think.
Sentiment probably in there. So one thing I point out, de-escalation and peaceful resolutions are often the best result, not lawsuits, not going through the legal process. So
yeah, and you want to know what the first step of this legal process was? Him filing a copyright strike.
Anytime I see somebody throwing that out, I think they're really getting into an area that's over their heads. But let's get into the actual law.
And I think the main takeaway over here is that Pokke has basically admitted that he did not have a lawyer before filing the strike. Yeah, that's pretty much confirmed because he only started talking about how he was talking to lawyers after the strike was filed and the counter notice was forwarded to him. That's why there's no mercy video is here, because he said that shit on his stream. Yeah, it's all the glue is here, boys. Don't worry.
Law and the way it breaks down with the YouTube system, because the YouTube system is very specific and it kind of...
Oh, before we get into this part, let me just rewind a little bit, right? Let me just rewind a little bit. Counterclaims. Counter notices is more so, I think, the official term for YouTube, but I think this is a fair one as well. So let's look at this next point that MrPokke's got over here, right? He starts talking about like nobody cares about this part, bro. I don't even know how he spent so long on this. Let's. Oh, never mind. Yeah, he spends a lot of time over here for some reason, I guess trying to cover his ass, but it doesn't really matter what he says or like how much he's yapping here about random shit when we like already showed all of this. Like, no, right? Because these two out of these 3 points don't make sense. 2 out of these 3 points are like actually just not true. Now back over here, let's take a look at this.
Actual law and the way it breaks down with the YouTube system, because the YouTube system is very specific and it kind of covers the DMCA process. So when you have a YouTube copyright dispute, particularly one where you have a DMCA counter notification, proper venue, that's where the lawsuit is, where everything has to go down, is determined by US federal copyright law. And
that's why the courts are usually in the US, because YouTube is a US based company. It makes sense, right?
that doesn't matter where the parties are from. They can be from anywhere in the planet. Obviously, MrPokke from Singapore. He could be from Mali. He could be from South Sudan. He could be from Argentina. It doesn't matter. You've got to apply U.S. federal copyright law.
And this is something that you would know if you had talked to a lawyer before filing a copyright strike. You would have understood that, oh, I should have a U.S. lawyer ready in advance.
On a YouTube claim. Lawsuits must be brought in a federal court in the United States, a federal district court, regardless of where the parties reside. And when they are participating in the YouTube system, the notice and counter notice system, they're consenting to jurisdiction. So they're consenting to that US-based jurisdiction. Usually you're going to bring that case in the federal district where the defendant resides, or in the Northern District of California, because, well, that's where YouTube is.
The federal district where the defendant resides, or in the northern district. Do you kind of like see how when you're the one that gets struck, or you're the one that's getting, I guess, sued for copyright, right? You're kind of like, you kind of get home field advantage. Yeah, you kind of get home field advantage, especially if the other guy that struck you is in Singapore.
In the Northern District of California. So,
Now, we'll get into that foreign law piece in just a little bit, because, of course, MrPokke's got some shit to say about, well, the slide that we just took a look at. U.S. jurisdiction, blah, blah, blah. We all get it, right? Both parties effectively consent to U.S. jurisdiction. Awesome. Okay, great. I don't know why he's just repeating the points that are in here. Like, aren't you supposed to, like, add something when you do this? I don't know. Like, it just feels like he's copy and pasting and, like, reordering what Legal Mindset wrote. Like, what? I don't understand the point of these two fucking bullet points. Am I the only one that's tripping here? I don't know. He could have just fucking read these. They're the same fucking thing. Now, let's get into the Singaporean problem. Or, sorry, the Singapore problem. Legal Mindset notes that MrPokke allegedly hired a Singaporean lawyer. However, a Singaporean judgment would likely be unenforceable regarding a YouTube thing, and so it must be filed. Why don't we listen to MrPokke's words himself regarding this matter?
Okay, so basically I have this, like, Singapore lawyer.
So, like, you have a Singapore lawyer that you hired for this. That is what anyone that hears this will think you hired a Singaporean lawyer. And even though you basically confirmed that you have one, Legal Mindset still used allegedly.
For example, right, I have already called my... Okay, so basically I have this, like, Singapore lawyer. How do I want to, like, go about this situation, right? So unfortunately, my Singapore lawyer can't really help me.
Yeah, maybe you should have done that research before you filed a copyright strike. Maybe you should. I'm sorry, I'm just over here with the quick wit commentary of I mean, that's probably the take everyone has right after hearing that explanation. Fair? That's probably the take that every person has after hearing what this dude just said, because, well, again, Legal Mindset I think was more than fair by saying you allegedly hired one, because it sounds like you literally confirmed that you hired one from your stream. But of course, right, this is Mr. What's that thing that happens when you, like, rewrite the story? Like, Mr. Retcon, bro. Like, what is this? Let's just get back here. This is just ridiculous.
Foreign law here, really, to examine this, U.S. law is going to cover since it's a U.S. company. So MrPokke, if he's talking about bringing a quote-unquote real lawsuit, and he's thinking about bringing a Singaporean lawsuit, well, that really is not going to apply U.S. law, and it's not going to have an enforceable judgment. Because
yeah, this isn't Singapore.
You can go and have some sort of lawsuit, and some countries allow this. Different countries are different. But in some countries, you might even be able to, quote unquote, bring a lawsuit against somebody. Maybe they don't show up, or they don't even bother fighting it, and you get some sort of judgment in that country. So maybe you have a judgment in, let's say, Romania, right? But that will not necessarily be enforced in other countries.
Exactly, because MrPokke, right, let's just say he sues me in Singapore. I'm not fucking flying over there to defend myself. What the fuck?
Countries, many countries will not enforce those, particularly as to civil judgments, because that law was not correctly applied. And in this case, it's very, very clear that U.S. law has to be applied. So in order to prevent the lawsuit, and prevent everything from being reposted, because eventually he's filed a counter notice, right? So he's filed the intention, right, and the willingness to fight back through a lawsuit.
True. He's publicly committed to it. We've already seen the commitments.
You can repost that information after a 10 to 14 day DMCA window, right? And you've got to post proof that you have put your claim in U.S. federal court and show that to YouTube. And if
that's a lot to do in 10 business days.
He's not able to,
especially if you have to hire a lawyer on business day 1.
Do that, that's going to be a problem. Filing abroad, filing some Singaporean law.
There's probably a good explanation, right, for why MrPokke has been skipping a lot of streams. He skipped like 2 in a row for this bad boy. Like stream 5 and then 2 days ago. Went from, 11, 10, 9, 8, then 7, then 5, then 2. Just saying an observation, right? He has skipped a lot of streams lately.
Lawsuit is not going to meet the YouTube requirements. So then you...
Now let's see what MrPokke's response is over here. This is correct. I will be pursuing an action based on the U.S. judicial system. I did not hire a Singapore lawyer.
How do I want to, go about this situation, right? So unfortunately, my Singapore lawyer can't really help me. Okay, so basically I have this, Singapore lawyer.
I guess he was just not... I guess he's dishonest somewhere. I don't know where, though. Just somewhere. Right? Just somewhere there's... The information's wrong. I just don't know where. It would have taken you 10 seconds to drop a DM asking me. Well, why would you need to drop a DM asking when you're publicly saying this shit?
Okay, so basically I have this, Singapore lawyer.
It's like sending MrPokke a DM to ask if he's from Singapore. It's like sending Pokke... Are you a human? Why would, it's just, you just said it, so why would you need a DM to confirm it? It's like sending a DM to, are you Asian? No, you just need to watch the stream and you'll be able to, why would you send a DM to confirm information that's being openly shared like this?
Okay, so basically I have this, Singapore lawyer.
I have counsel from a full U.S. legal team. This is where it's going to get funny. He said a full U.S. legal team, but then he said this. Oops.
And then I have a U.S. lawyer.
So a U.S. lawyer. So he says here he has one lawyer, and then suddenly now he has a full legal team. But then again, I guess having a lawyer doesn't mean you hired them. So he only has the U.S. lawyer. I guess he also didn't hire them. Because I guess in this circumstance, saying I have this lawyer means I didn't hire them. But here it says you did hire them. Dude, what is this? What is even going... Bro, this is what is even going on, bro? Maybe the team has one guy on it. And so it is a full team because you only need one guy on the team. You know what I mean? I don't know, bro. I have 10 business days to file a legal claim. 3rd or 4th of March, depending on timing. February's short, remember that. Yeah, I don't know how... I don't know what the fuck he's yapping about here. What's the next section? Fair use. All right. Now let's listen to Legal Mindset's take on the fair use conversation.
You get into, okay, so it's got to be in the US. Is it fair use? Now, this is a more complicated question. And without me picking apart the video and doing a, hour-long or 2-hour-long review of a video that's been copyright struck and opening myself up to a copyright strike, we'll talk about it broadly. Fair use usually involves commentary and criticism. It's not enough to say...
And this is the part that MrPokke's pissed about. Bro's basically admitting to something over here, right? By refusing to react to Pokke's video. He thinks that Pokke's gonna strike his fucking ass too because he thinks that this case is crazy. That's my take on this.
Then you get into, okay, so it's got to be in the US. Is it fair use? Now, this is a more complicated question. And without me picking apart the video and doing a, hour-long or 2-hour-long review of a video that's been copyright struck and opening myself up to a copyright.
He basically thinks Pokke is fucking going crazy, and this is my interpretation. He thinks Pokke's going crazy and it's gonna strike him too if he covers it. So that's why he's skipping it. And this is what makes this tweet really funny. In response to, right, Legal Mindset and his DMs, it's really, really, really funny. Have you considered reaching out? My DMs are open at Legal Mindset. The biggest problem is I can't watch the video that got struck live because MrPokke would strike that. MrPokke. Imagine a situation. You see a crazy guy at the bar. He takes a sip of alcohol and then starts hitting people around him. Are you gonna walk up to that guy and expect not to get hit? I'm just wondering. You just see this drunk dude going around punching everybody, even the woman, right? He does not give a fuck. He's punching everybody. Would you walk up to him and try to engage a friendly conversation with that guy? Pokke's not going to understand, right? I forgot he doesn't understand analogies. Well, I guess I'm just wasting my fucking time here. Pokke, think about it this way. Applying that analogy, you are the rabid drunk guy at the bar punching everybody. And I don't know why you're acting so surprised that people don't want to approach you in DMs following that. Instead, all you have is Skull CJ. Good luck. All you have is Skull CJ. Good luck, bro. Like, awesome. I guess you can have really intelligent conversations with this guy. You'll both grow together as intellectuals. And by grow, I mean you'll both get you'll just get stupider at the same time. Anyways, it's negative growth. That's just the segment on my personal take on why Legal Mindset has that opinion.
Right strike. We'll talk about it broadly. Fair use usually involves commentary and criticism. It's not enough to say, hey, I simply don't like critique. I don't like your talking about me. Therefore, you can't talk about me. That's not enough. Now,
that's a different case though, right? If you do believe that the talk, the words, etc. are broaching on either defamatory or harassment, right? That's where those offenses come in, but those aren't related to fair use. And I think it might be potentially fair to say, guys, that a video can be fair use, but also be defamatory. And I'm not talking about mine, I'm just saying a video in general could be defamatory, but also be completely in fair use. That is entirely possible.
Using someone's video, that does come in. Okay, you use someone's entire video. Is that transformative?
I also didn't use MrPokke's entire video.
Well, St. Totas and his position says he reacted for an hour and 22 minutes to a 20-minute video. Now, the judge could look at that differently, could say, well, you used all of it, or you didn't use clips, or whatever else. But there's a substantial amount that was added in terms of criticism and critique in response.
A lot. Oh, a lot.
The other thing they're going to look at is whether it's a market replacement for MrPokke's original video.
And that's the big point that MrPokke's going for, right? The talk about it being a market replacement, all of that. The purpose of my react, right? Well, bro, I'm in there in the first 2 minutes and he's talking a bunch of mad shit about me. Yeah, I'm in there in the first 2 minutes in multiple places and he's just talking all this shit about me. It's a response to me being in the first, and he's just talking a bunch of shit about me that I thought wasn't true. Or that I thought was very, well, poorly argued. You know what I mean? And so as a person, right, with the reputation, all of that, guys, it's a lot of people in that situation, they would want to defend themselves against a critique that they view as illegitimate. That's why I spent so long reacting to it, right? It's like, hey, I want to make sure that all these points, right, do they actually make sense? Or am I just getting critiqued by a bunch of weird arguments?
Let's look back to the Dirty Denims, Frogan and Casey Tron versus Ethan Klein. And did he make any statements saying, hey, I'm trying to steal viewers from MrPokke? Or
no. I'm pretty sure I opened it up by saying, yeah, this guy's been talking a lot of shit.
This is intended as,
or something along those lines,
as a replacement for MrPokke. If he did, then that would be a problem. But if he was just issuing critique and commentary and without actively trying to subvert that market, I think that the court might look at that a little bit more favorably on St. Tonta's side. So
that's the thing. I think in the Denims, Casey Tron, and Frogan case, there were public admissions multiple times. And this is the thing that really needs to stick. Public admissions multiple times before and after the react. And I'm not sure if it was Denims, Casey Tron, and Frogan, but I do believe it was like one of those three, right? Or maybe two of the three, or maybe all three. I don't remember, right? They were actively saying multiple times that they wanted people to not view Ethan H3H3's vid and just watch it on their stream instead. That is what they publicly said during the react, before and after.
As long as he wasn't going about...
They admitted to wanting to steal views. Don't like the video, subscribe to me instead, right? That's what Denims was saying. I remember that. And this is the thing, guys. I'm pretty sure, even in their situation, if they had made one admission or like said that, I don't even think it, like my personal take is that it maybe wouldn't have slid, right? It wouldn't really be like a strong point in Ethan's case. My personal opinion. But the fact that they said it over and over again and reinforced it, said it at like the beginning, the middle, and then the end of the stream, that makes it a lot more difficult, right? To say that it was like a misspeak or something like that, right?
About that in a way akin to Denim's, Casey Tron, or Frogan, I think it might be looked more like critique. But of course, this is a thing with fair use. Different judges can weigh the factors differently. So,
and we all know when it comes to a civil situation, looking at past civil cases, the judge can sometimes have a very, very large sway in how the decision goes down. But you would imagine in the courts of Northern California, right? In the courts of Northern California, where all of these copyright cases with YouTube have been done before, right? I would assume the judges are relatively experienced and understand the context of these situations. Probably better than a judge in Austin, Texas, or Travis County or whatever, right? Because, well, if they're held in YouTube's jurisdiction, a lot of these copyright cases are going to be in those northern courts where they're always... You guys get what I'm talking about, right? I'm saying the judges there, they should probably have a lot more context, and of course, that sort of like a bit more of a standard take. Less, I would assume there's less 50-50s, but who knows?
there could be a judge that says, hey, I don't like that you use the entire video, or I think you shouldn't have used this particular portion of the video. It might weigh that differently. But I think overall, looking at that, the fair use factors on their face tend to lean towards Saint. So let's go.
MrPokke didn't like that, did he? So now let's go ahead. Let's check out what MrPokke had to say regarding this matter. It's all about fair use, right? Commentary criticism. The law generally protects the right to critique others. Yep. Transformative work. Saint added significant length. 82 minutes of commentary on a 20-minute video, which leans towards fair use. Market replacement. There is little evidence that Saint's video was intended to replace the original or steer the market. Frame does a rebuttal. And then verdict on fair use is just like, he just repeats. Bro, like, can Legal Mindset, just, why the fuck did he just take all of Legal Mindset's points and just rewrite them? Why couldn't he just read what Legal Mindset wrote if he was just gonna repeat the same fucking shit? What the fuck even is this? It's just, you rewrote all of these. What? Here we go. Okay. This is where he does it. This is where he does it. Let's take a look. The tragic... Isn't this thumbnail fucking hilarious, though? I'm sorry, bro. This is the original thumbnail. Isn't that fucking hilarious? 8 views 4 minutes ago on Amith. Ah, that's built different, bro. The fact, Saint uploaded almost 100% of my content within 12 hours of your launch. Who is he referring to? Who's the you here? Because I'm referred to in the third person. He's the second person. Who's the third? Or, sorry. I'm the third person. Who's the second person? He's the first. Bro, what even is... Did nobody double check this? By releasing a full-length mirror during my context peak revenue window, it leads towards a predatory market substitute. Especially when we all share the same market demographics. Oh, so MrPokke is over here stating that we have the same demographics. But that's... Well... That's an interesting thing to say when he focuses on Uma Musume and Honkai Star Rail, and I focus on Wuthering Waves. Yeah. I guess he has to drive this whole argument and this whole point, right? That we share the exact same audience. Which is... Well... Are we gonna have to get, like, Twitch statistics into it? Like, YouTube, like, inner analytics? Like, this is the thing. I really don't think we do. I really don't think we do, because I get higher views on HSR 4.0 than he does. because I focus on content that negatively critiques the game. MrPokke, when have you put out a video that critiques Honkai Star Rail? I make videos about HSR. All I do is critique HSR. Because it's a bad game and it sucks big ass. You can check it out on YouTube, who your audience watches. Ooh, that would be a fun one to see. We got Gallant Gacha Gamer, Doran's Impact, Miyu Scene, free-to-play gacha, Doran's Impact, Wuthering Waves, Gacha Smack, Fnatic Sama, Tectone, Wuthering Impact, D3 Tots, Shy Guy, High, Darkos88, and then MrPokke's at the very end. But this is the thing, right? Naturally, I'm getting a lot of Pokke videos, Pokke viewers on the recent Pokke videos because we have had, right, a lot of conversations between each other, right? In the last 28 days. And, well, what have we been up to in the last 28 days? An ongoing copyright feud where we're making videos on each other. So that's probably the only reason why he's here. And, like, bro, he's at the very end. I wonder if YouTube has this data from the last 28 days, right? I wonder if YouTube has this data from January 19th, 2026. And this is also a very important thing. Is my rebuttal video going to prevent people from going to MrPokke's video? Would my rebuttal video prevent people from looking at the original source? That's something that he has to basically think about as well when it comes to this conversation. Because isn't there an alternative argument to say that after watching mine, people would want to watch his to see his unadulterated take, right? To see his whole take versus the critique. Because in the same vein, right, MrPokke, you're out here making a rebuttal video to Legal Mindset's video within 12 hours of its release. Can't you say, MrPokke, that on these factors of fair use, you focused a lot on how various parts of the 3 fair use factors might be in my favor, but you're focusing a lot on this market substitute thing, right? Where you're saying that me posting a rebuttal hurts the original video's views, but isn't you posting this rebuttal within 12 hours to Legal Mindset's views, isn't that hurting his views? So even if you're only just using clips, aren't you still directly, well, I guess using your own logic, MrPokke, right? Aren't you doing exactly what you are saying you struck me for with this video? Because isn't this, right, again, I'm just saying, right, it does come off as a little bit odd because you put out this rebuttal video really fast. Really fast, right? That's rough. So now we got the fact over here. Saint has a habitual pattern of bad faith arguments. So, MrPokke, in this rebuttal video that you made, we caught you lying in multiple occasions. Isn't this bad faith arguments? Isn't this bad faith arguments, MrPokke? Because we caught you lying here, or at least being dishonest here based off of your prior vids, right? There's a reason why I made sure to go through all these other points, right? Because MrPokke's driving this whole bad faith thing, right? With go against fair, like, aren't you kind of like, well, you've said that the thing, you're saying Legal Mindset is wrong, or he didn't do his research, or he didn't, and this is the big focus over here, right? You're saying that Legal Mindset is not performing due diligence, right? You did not even do the first due diligence, but you're out here and your points are inaccurate because you've admitted to having a Singapore lawyer. You've admitted to, again, saying you'll talk about removing the strike if I meet your 3 demands, all of that, right? I'm just saying, right? Doesn't this seem a little bit bad faith? I guess by your own definitions? This is where he gets a little bit tricky, MrPokke. This is where he gets a little bit tricky because you're uploading this video within 12 hours and you've literally been caught being dishonest about what's in your PowerPoint. Maybe you didn't double check it, or maybe you forgot what you said in your other videos. Now let's read this. Calling myself, my editors, and my audience retarded. Or that I'm catering to retard children. So, is this I struck him because he said mean things? This is basically, I wanted to strike him because he said mean things. I don't know. Maybe someone could tell me. Maybe we'll find out from a lawyer later if, like, what that has to do with fair use. Because once again, right, isn't this is where the kind of, like, harassment, defamation, right? That's where That's why people have made that differentiation, because, like I said before, a video can be fair use, but then also hypothetically defamatory. But this is also a take that I have to share. After you've seen the reaction of MrPokke's community over the past couple of days, was I, or just MrPokke's community over the past few weeks, was I wrong on this statement? Just an example one, right? Like, it kind of does seem that way, right? Because right now, these guys are brigading Illegal Mindsets video like fucking crazy, bro. Like, yo, the Poke's community is really mad. Yes, you were wrong, Saint. They're not retarded. They're super retarded. I can't wait to get the legal definition of what super retarded means. It has no relation to the actual content of my video, and some might argue it as a bad faith critique. I want to Google the term bad faith critique. Is it even like a whole legal one? Is bad faith critique even like a legal term? Bro, that doesn't even exist in the dictionary. What the fuck? I'm getting results from the writing subreddit. What even is that? Did bro just make it up? It's not even a legal term. What the fuck is it doing here? Wait, what the fuck is a bad faith? What? If he wants to react in good faith and take what? Is there even what the fuck is even being said here, bro? Let's get to the judgment.
Go to the judgment. In my judgment, Saint Tondas has the current advantage as an American with a U.S. lawyer when fighting a Singaporean MrPokke in court.
That is absolutely true, because it's again, home field advantage here.
Got to go and do all this work. He's got to hire the American lawyer. He's got to deal with U.S. law. And right now, it's not even clear whether he has re-engaged a U.S. lawyer instead of a Singaporean lawyer.
Because, right, MrPokke said here, apparently.
Okay, so basically I have this like Singapore lawyer.
So he didn't hire one.
And now I have like a U.S. lawyer.
But he did hire a U.S. lawyer. So he uses the same language of having a lawyer, but he didn't hire a Singaporean one, but he hired a US one, but just used the same language for both. That's where the confusion is, bro, because again, this is from your own streams. And so this confusion or lack of clarity is a result of your own words.
And the fair use factors do lean in favor of Saint just broadly, but judges can rule differently and they can rule the way they want. So you've got to really leave the door open for anything to happen if it actually slugs out. Of course, that's very costly. And therefore, my really final conclusion is both of these parties, MrPokke and Saint, are really better sitting down, calming down, and coming to a non-legal resolution.
And the non-legal resolution, guys, is just waiting the 10 business days. And MrPokke doesn't file anything and we don't spend any more money on the situation. That is literally, like, we just do nothing. That is the non-legal, we just don't do anything. Nobody does anything for the next couple of days.
I will say to MrPokke, expecting one party not to ever comment on
MrPokke gets fucked for filing or retracting a copyright. That sounds like a personal problem.
Another again saying, hey, don't talk about me again. Keep my name out your mouth. That is not a reasonable expectation or generally an enforceable expectation on the internet, absent some other circumstance. This is not a situation where we're dealing with something like a death threat or a threat of physical harm, right? So this is a situation in which someone is giving critique. And if your position is, don't critique me ever again, generally that's not something that's going to be enforced or held up in court. But I want to know what you
I don't even think that's legally binding, right? Because it's like, it's legally binding as a result of a copyright. Like, I guess that's the thing, right? I'm just not even sure. Like, it's a copyright case, not like a restraining order or like protective order or anything. I don't know, bro, right? It's just confusing. So let's go ahead and see what MrPokke's take is over here. Legal Mindset could have easily reached out to me at any point in time. MrPokke, you are currently, again, like I said before, in the analogy, the drunk guy at the bar punching everybody that approaches him. So I don't know why you're kind of like out here blaming Legal Mindset for not approaching you when you've started randomly striking videos, right? 21 days after they're posted, right after I upload a stream on your editor abuse allegations, you immediately file a strike on a video that's 19 days old or 21 days old. Like, that's a fact. For a video claiming fast facts as a neutral party, you did not even do the first due diligence, which is understanding the situation. I think he understood it perfectly fine, and the fact that Legal Mindset didn't want to go through your channel and somehow, like, understand the 7,000 contradictory statements you've made across all of your fucking vids. Bro, this is the thing. We've already shown and proven that your story changes up every other day. Right? You say you didn't do things that you did, and, like, you have your own videos that disprove what's in this PowerPoint. That's just a fact. Something as simple as me hiring US-based lawyers, because MrPokke, you confirmed that you have a Singapore lawyer and that you have a US lawyer, but now suddenly you don't have one when you use the same language for both. So once again, you're trying to blame Legal Mindset for not doing due diligence when the lack of due diligence is on your end to, I don't know, fucking speak properly? Communicate properly? I don't fucking know. Because you say, again, you're using this language of have, but then one's hired and one's not. You used have for both. You have a lawyer in the US, you have a lawyer in Singapore. Bro, our misunderstanding does not stem from a problem with us. It is a problem with the fact that you are not that great at communicating anything. Bro would legit blame the judge. Judge, you misunderstood what I said. No, bitch. You communicated badly, and your true intentions or wording didn't go across. That's not anyone else's problem. That's your problem. Above all, you claim I would strike your reaction if you reacted to my content live. That's because any person looking into this situation with a neutral perspective is likely going to have the viewpoint, MrPokke, that they don't think your strike is valid. And so, after coming to that conclusion as a neutral party, just because they came to that conclusion doesn't mean that they're not neutral anymore. MrPokke seems to think that neutral means on his side. It's like MrPokke is like it kind of seems to have the mindset that unless you're on my side, you're not neutral. You can be neutral and pick a side. That's that is allowed. Because you approach the situation neutrally and you think someone's wrong here. And it's just rough, right? To see him start attacking the character of Legal Mindset instead of his actual arguments, because I don't really think we can constitute any of the shit that he wrote here as an actual defense. Because it's like, it's not consistent with anything else on his channel and the other public statements he's made. So yeah, that's gonna be the final bit for MrPokke over here. Like I said, we don't really need to look at whatever words he used to try to flower it up. Let's see the final words from Legal.
What do you guys think about this and the gotcha war of MrPokke versus Saint Tontas? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll catch you on the next.
All right, he kind of cut himself off over there, but overall, awesome video. And honestly, I gotta thank MrPokke for burning the midnight oil to pump this one out as fast as possible. Because good golly gee, it doesn't make that much sense, does it, right? Especially after all the little pieces of like glue and evidence that we were able to push forward. Yeah, I'm just gonna be real, man. This gotcha war should be a fun one. Let's see how far in the mainstream this one ends up going, because good God, man, it is blowing up. Let me know what you all thought. Peace out.